Hello and welcome to the channel that covers everything where health and technology meet. Behind me, 4 of the top connected fitness rowers. In this video, we're going to compare them and break them down a little bit. And the idea here is to hopefully help you narrow down your list. So if you're looking at getting a rower but you don't know where to start and you're looking at all these different options, well, hopefully after this, you've narrowed it down to 1 or 2, and then you can go watch the full review on those to make sure it is the product you want and fully understand it, because in this video, I'm not going to be able to cover every feature because this video would take forever. But we should be able to narrow it down and cover a lot of the major things each one has to offer. And when it comes to these rowers, I feel like they fall into a couple of categories. First, what is the content structure like? You have instructor-led, and that's represented by Hydrow and the NordicTrack RW900. But then you also have gaming-based, which is represented by the Ergatta and the Aviron. In addition to that, I kind of consider a quality or a tier level as far as what you get out of these. And to be completely honest, I'm going to put the NordicTrack in tier B, just a step below the rest. And the other 3 in tier A, I think they're all very equal as quality goes. It's really just a matter of finding the one that has the features and functionality and content that match what's going to best motivate you and keep you coming back to the product. So with that said, because NordicTrack's the one that's kind of stood apart the most as far as falling into categories, I want to kick that off first and then wrap up with the other 3 because they're the most alike. And to be clear, I don't think the NordicTrack is a bad option. It could be a perfect fit for a lot of people. I just consider it a slight step down. And why is that? Well, first, the resistance. The other 3 all have amazing resistance. Slightly different, but very, very good. And with the NordicTrack, it's still a very good rower with great resistance, but at the beginning of the rowing motion, there's a slight gap. It feels like it has to spool up, and you kind of feel like you're missing just a small part of that range of motion. It's still going to give you a great workout. It's going to have you sweating all over the place, burning all sorts of calories. You're going to be probably pretty happy with it, but if we're comparing against the other 3, I think they're slightly better. And considering resistance is probably one of the biggest things you want to focus on, it does make me knock it down a small notch. Not a reason not to get it, but something worth knowing. Another thing is rate of change. iFit is in a lot of devices across Proform, NordicTrack, bikes, rowers, treadmills, lots of stuff. And personally, just when they want to make a change, they have to make sure it's compatible with so many models. I feel like it's harder for them to implement new features and functionality. That doesn't mean they don't do it, but these other more standalone models that don't have a lot of product lines that they need to kind of change and adapt to make sure that they're all going to work with a change, it's a little easier for them to push out new features and functionality, so the rate of change is better. You log in one day and you're like, oh wow, it does this now, that's amazing. I didn't know it was going to do that. And that's exciting, and that's one of the reasons you buy products like this. They aren't the same product day 1 as they are day 300. They keep getting better as you use them and as you own them. And personally, that's one of the biggest draws of connected fitness devices for me. So I'm going to knock the NordicTrack down just a slight notch for that, but just another thing to consider. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but support, I've talked about it in plenty of other videos. Icon Fitness, who manages NordicTrack and Proform, I'm not the biggest fan. The other 3, I don't necessarily have direct examples of working with their support because I've had 0 issues. So I can't say if they're better or worse, but I do know with Icon Fitness, I have not been the most pleased with it. And I've had plenty of comments from other people saying that they've had bad experiences too. So I'm going to point that out. And then when we compare the NordicTrack to the Hydrow, the other instructor-led rower, I feel like it just falls behind slightly in a few different categories, including build quality, looks, amount of plastic used, and user interface. Slight knocks, not a huge deal. Not like if you get the NordicTrack and you're like, oh wow, this is terrible. But I think the Hydrow does all those things just a little bit better. So if I'm throwing all these knocks out the NordicTrack, why would you even consider it? Why am I not moving on? Well, it still has a lot of things going for it and reasons you should consider it. For example, it has a swivel monitor, meaning that it offers a lot of variety. You don't just use it as a rower. It has off-the-rower content, so you turn that monitor aside and suddenly you can do other stuff. You're getting more out of your investment, and that is very, very nice. In addition to that, price. It is less expensive compared to the other options, so you're able to get in a better price. It has auto resistance change functionality, so as you're rowing, the instructors can change that for you, which kind of automates the functionality, adds a little bit more to the rowing experience, is another nice, neat feature. And on top of that, if you're thinking about building a home gym or you're thinking about getting multiple products, if you're going to stay in the connected fitness realm, so if you want a rower, you want a resistance machine, you want a bike, well, suddenly you have different products and each has their own monthly membership fee, and that can become overwhelming. Well, if you stay in the iFit space, that one membership can cover all products. So it kind of depends on how you plan to build out your home gym. If you only plan to get one thing, not a big deal. But if you want to get 2 or 3, it might be nice to just pay one membership fee instead of multiple. So it just depends on what route you're going. But it does mean there are obvious reasons to consider the NordicTrack as an option depending on how you're going to use it. So now we're about to get into the real meat of this video, but first a couple things to mention real quick. First, if you could hit the like button, it makes a huge difference and tells YouTube that this video is worth watching and really helps the channel, so I truly appreciate it. Second, I mentioned I have full reviews for all of these rowers, so if you want to learn more, check out the description. I'll have links to all those review videos. But also, if you do want to check out the product, I'll put links for those down there in the description as well, and that does support the channel, and I really appreciate it. Alright, so we covered all that stuff on iFit, or the NordicTrack RW900 rower. And if you get through that and you're like, I think I really want an instructor-led rower, but I don't know if that's the one for me. I just want to go top of the line. I want the best of the best. Well, Hydrow is going to be where you're looking. And when I do reviews and I say something is polished, that means that I love the product end to end. I like the build quality. I like the look. I like the user interface. I like the content. I like how the instructors connect with you and get the most out of you. Everything about that product is just very good. It is polished. Peloton is polished. Hydrow is polished. And that's why I think the Hydrow is often called the Peloton of rowers. So if you find yourself saying that you want a rower and you want instructor-led content, the Hydrow is going to be a fantastic option. Everything about it is just done so well. It looks nice. It's built well. The resistance is fantastic. The instructors are really well done. A lot of different instructors, so you're going to be able to find different personalities that match your exercise personality. The user interface is very simple and easy to use, so anybody is going to put this in their house and just immediately start using it and take advantage of it. There's no learning curve or feeling intimidated like you might not be able to fully take advantage of it. It is that easy and that well done. So in that instructor-led content space, the Hydrow has really got it going on. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and if that's what you lean towards, I think you'll really enjoy it as well. And after putting time into all of these rowers, I've come to realize that I enjoy the gaming structure more. One, you're just playing a game, which is fun, but you kind of, where other ones, it's like it's 20 minutes and it's done. With a game, you kind of keep going and you can push harder, reach new levels, new challenges, end up on a ranking or a leaderboard. There's just a lot of motivational factors to playing a game if you enjoy a gaming structure. On top of that, there's racing, and games are based on objectives. So you kind of learn how to row more properly because that game will have you changing different dynamics of how you row. And you learn to properly row, or at least be able to change how you row, so you can have different results or different impacts on your body, and just realize that it's not just the same motion over and over. So there's just so many things going on within the gaming structure that it keeps me very interested, keeps me excited, and almost makes it fun, as opposed to sometimes when it's working out, it's like, it's time to work out, I guess I'll go do it. It's almost like hey, I'm kind of excited. I'm going to see if I can beat what I did last time, or I'm going to try this new game. So it just adds a level of fun to it that keeps you coming back and gets more out of the exercise for you. So a quick breakdown of the two gaming-based rowers, Ergatta and Aviron. And to be honest, I kind of hate both of these companies, because why couldn't they just make it easy on me and I can say this one's the better one or this one's the better one? But they can't. They had to make two great products, and I can't just pick one or the other because I love both of them. So I'm a little angry about that. But when it comes to these two, there are differences, and that's the part that makes this a little bit easier. They're both gaming-based rowers, and from overall end-to-end rower, the build quality, the rowing resistance, all those things, they're both fantastic. So for the most part, minus a few things I'm going to touch on here, you get to just pick the one that kind of calls to you, says this is the content I like better. So while I really love both of these rowers, there are things that set them apart, and let's break those down real quick, starting with resistance. And as I mentioned, the resistance is fantastic on both of them, but it is different. The Ergatta is water-based, where the Aviron is more mechanical. So with the Ergatta being water-based, it's got more of a feedback to it. Instead of being consistent, you can kind of feel a little bit of a texture in the row. And depending on how you're rowing, whether you're kind of doing pauses in between or if you're keeping up a faster pace, it's going to change the experience from if it fights you and makes you work for it, which is great for building strength, or more of a I'm keeping up, it's working together, and it's more of a cardio experience. And to be honest, I really like the water rowing experience. It just adds a little bit something to it, and I've thoroughly enjoyed it. But on the mechanical side, it's a little more predictable. It's consistent throughout the whole range of motion, and it just works with you, and it's just overall fantastic. And you have the ability to manipulate it, meaning you can change the resistance levels, which is a nice feature because if you want to change what you're going to be doing that day, you want it to be really tough or you want it to be more of a lighter, I'm going fast cardio structure, you have that within your control. So they're both really, really nice, but there are some significant differences there, and that might play a factor into what you pick. Looks, I've put plenty of footage on the screen. They're both really nice. The Ergatta is really something special, just different than everything else, but the Aviron looks nice as well, so you can make your own decision there, but a difference that might play in as well. Now, in my opinion, and the biggest difference between these two, and before I say this actually, let me say I'm not going to go as in depth as I'd like to on this. So if you want a head-to-head battle between any of these two rowers where I can go more in depth on those two models and how they compare, comment down below and let me know. But between the Ergatta and Aviron, it's simplicity versus variety. With the Ergatta, there is not as many features. There's not as many game modes. It's simplified, but the end-to-end structure is so well thought out. It's just very flowing and it's just easy to use and easy to get excited about. There is a ranking mode, so it constantly is watching you and what you're able to do. And it also has a couple other modes where you have to change where you row real time as it changes things on the screen. And how you do that depends on a score you get. And it just is a lot of fun, but it also makes you change up. Instead of just being that one standard row motion over and over, you've actually got to tweak and do that live and try to make it there before the thing passes to get the score and see how high of a score you can get by the end. And it's just a lot of fun. And that whole just simplified but very well built out structure is a lot of fun. But on the Aviron side, while maybe the end-to-end structure doesn't flow as well, it's just more of a, let me throw tons of options at you and I'm gonna keep creating them. So if you want variety, you just want tons of, I'm gonna flip through these screens and just figure out what I feel like doing today because I don't wanna kind of keep doing the same things, the Aviron's gonna have that variety. It's just so fun to kind of find the things you prefer, the different game modes that you wanna do and kind of tackle those and see if you can be on the leaderboard or not and what you're capable of achieving. And I am not on this video going to be able to cover everything that Aviron has. I will try to throw some stuff up on the screen though because they have so much going on. It's just a never-ending list of options to go have fun with and keep that exercise engaging and interesting. And stacking onto that whole variety thing with the Aviron, they also have scenic rides. I don't think there's any instructor-led, but if you just want to simplify it, have some nice scenery, and row at your own pace, do your own thing, you're able to do that. But they also have YouTube integration, which I personally love. Sometimes you don't want to do what someone else has built for you. You just want to be like, hey, I know what episode of something came out. It's going to be 20 minutes long. That's my row. I'm going to push as hard as I want to. I'm in control, but I'm going to watch something that I enjoy watching. And I love that they made that available on the Aviron. But if you did find this helpful, hit that like button for me. I really appreciate it. Subscribe to stay on top of everything where health and technology meet. And until next time, here's to a healthier you, and have a good one.